Welcome back to Movie Night with Marcos and Paulina.
Good to see you.
You sound really cheery.
I'm pretending.
Yeah, I know. We had a long week. It was,
Yeah.
We had an ice storm,
We live in Texas.
and there was this ice storm that hit us that we were not prepared for.
Oh my gosh, what a mess. We were actually really fortunate because a lot of people lost power or their lost water or their pipes burst. None of that happened to us. Our heater wasn't working really great, so we did go over to my parents for a few days. Yeah, it was fine. But even then, just a week like that has all these unexpected kind of like anticipated disasters really takes a toll for sure.
Yeah, but we had some time to watch stuff, I guess. So.
And play games. Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't terrible.
You can find the silver lining.
Yeah, but we recently watched this movie called Malcolm and Marie.
You've probably heard of it. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, so it's a black and white movie, which I actually wasn't expecting that.
Even though it's a new movie, so saying it's black and white makes it sound like it's old, but it's new.
Definitely a new movie.
It has Zendaya and...
the guy from Tenet. He's Denzel Washington's kid.
What?
Yeah, look it up.
I had no idea.
John David Washington? Something like that.
Gosh. Okay. Wow.
Is that his name?
John David Washington. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's a two-person cast.
Yep. There's only
movie.
two people in the movie.
Them.
It's about Malcolm, a filmmaker, and Marie. That's Malcolm's girlfriend. And the whole movie is about an argument that they have after a premiere of one of his movies. Kind of exhausting, but the whole movie's about the argument.
Gosh, yes.
And it just
not
escalates.
About the argument. The whole movie is the argument.
Yes, it escalates and escalates,
Yeah.
and you feel tired. Like I'm sure they get tired.
Yeah.
About the movie.
It really, for
the
me, it felt like a play, just because. Well, and maybe like a one-act play. You know, so because you're in the same setting, which is their home, that they're temporarily living in.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool home, by the way.
Yeah, you kept commenting on
so
that.
Cool.
I didn't even care.
But yeah, so and just the camera angles, the way that the characters would come in and out of scenes, and you could still hear them. It really felt like watching a play, and I thought that was really cool. It's a very unique, different. I mean, that means the same thing, but
it's very thought-provoking for
yes,
sure. Like,
for sure.
The movie talks about things like how people's backgrounds affect the rest of their future, or about Hollywood, or just what
racism.
What it means to be authentic. A lot of
what it
topics.
means to be an artist.
Exactly. It's really cool that the movie touches on all these things.
It's really cool. I mean, thinking the more we talk about it, the more I think on it. Like, I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's so thought provoking, like you said, but it was exhausting. And there's this really cool line in the movie where he discusses how a director, or like a true artist makes the audience feel what the characters feel. This cool line of when they're talking about art, when they're talking about what if a film needs to do. A film needs to draw in the audience and make the audience feel what the characters in the film are feeling. And oh my gosh, after I watched the movie, I felt like I had been arguing with my husband for 2 hours.
Honestly, I feel like we could have had an argument somewhat similar.
Oh, well, we could have had an argument, like a lot of parts of their argument did seem very relatable, like in the way of she said she wasn't mad, but then she says, no, actually I am mad. I've thought about it.
Yeah, that happens.
And I've definitely done that. The extent, I mean, they are very cruel to each other. And I don't think we never fight like that. And probably mostly because I married Marcos, and Marcos is very non-confrontational.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get to that point of cruelty when we do fight.
Mm-hmm. I agree, but I see that we could have an argument where we just don't let things go, or we just...
Right. It's just endless.
Yes.
Like, it looks like they're about to make up, and then bam.
Yeah.
It keeps going.
They can't get over it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of infuriating to watch, but you can also understand. I mean, if we want to go into details, the argument starts when Malcolm and Marie come home, and Marie is obviously very upset. Something happened at the
Well, Malcolm didn't thank her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, didn't thank you. And, at award shows when they give their speeches.
Mm-hmm. And at first you don't know why she's upset, but you can tell she's upset.
It wasn't an award show. It was a premiere.
Yeah, it was a premiere.
It was the premiere, right? Yeah.
But you can tell that she's upset, and we don't really know why, but we later find out that she doesn't get thanked for the movie. Like,
yeah.
What kind of person doesn't thank their significant other,
Right. And of course, as with so many arguments with couples, it's like more than that. It's like it's a representation of how he takes her for granted and doesn't appreciate her as in his life. And
I mean, I would totally think that too if I was
absolutely, yeah.
I think she had a right to be upset. Yeah. Honestly, if you had to side with one character, it's probably Marie.
Yeah, I would side with Marie too.
Yeah, me too. Anyways, so the argument kind of escalates, and Malcolm is kind of mad that on his glorious premiere night, Marie's a little upset.
Yeah.
Which, I can kind of see that perspective too. Like, if you had a great night with like your dream.
Yeah, he is very happy at the beginning of this film. Like you see his just joy and pride.
But I feel like if they just had a little bit of empathy, this whole movie wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, and I mean, my therapist says it all the time of expectations are future resentments.
Yeah. Or so disappointments.
Like future disappointments, yeah, and then that turns into resentment. And it just seemed like a lot of issues that they had were that they assumed or expected the other one to know exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
And every time that they were disappointed, it just started building and building and building into all of these little resentments that they had for each other. And then they explode into this enormous fight where you can see, I mean, there are parts of the fight that are so intense that Marcos and I were both like, walk out, like leave, break up, leave them there. What the heck?
And I thought the movie was almost over when they get to those parts, and they still have like a bunch more, a lot more time. Yeah,
because you see them doing this like ebb and flow in the fight, and that's when you realize, okay, they love each other. I mean, obviously they love each other because, I mean, it's tricky because you think, well, they stay because they love each other. But I think some abusive relationships are also like that, though, where like even verbally abusive relationships, the person stays, but that's because they're a victim, maybe not because it's like actual love. So I think that is a little murky. Yeah,
honestly, if I had to think about like their relationship, I think Malcolm is mentally abusive. Because
verbally abusive. And mentally, you're right.
He definitely tries to hurt her.
Yeah.
Because
he says terrible, terrible things.
Yeah. Because Malcolm is really trying to get out why Marie is so upset on his, director night, whatever. And she's just like, I wish you thanked me. And then he's like, oh, you make this all about you. Can't you just be happy for me?
Right.
It just keeps escalating and escalating to the point where Marie's just trying to take a bath, and Malcolm bursts in and says, like, I've been with all these women. I had sex in all these positions, all these locations. And this movie that we kind of secretly know that is based off of Marie is, I mean, he's trying to basically say, no, it was all original. It was all him and his previous
and all these relationships he had with all these other girls. Yeah. That it was just as much about them as it was about Marie.
Yeah. And he's trying to hurt her.
Yeah. And what's insane is in a lot of the fight, and especially when you kind of start seeing him calm down, I guess, there's this repeated theme that Marie doesn't think she deserves love, and she's a recovered drug addict, right? So that seems pretty understandable, right? That she has a lot of shame and guilt, and that she doesn't think she deserves love. And Malcolm says this to her, that you can't fathom a world in which someone truly loves you. And he keeps saying that, but then in the fight, he brings up all of these reasons why she's detestable and disgusting. And so, yeah, it really does. It's so abusive because he's just saying, like, how on earth can you think that no one can love you? Like, I truly love you. And then he says these disgusting things to her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a really good movie. It's a hard movie to watch, especially if you've been in in an abusive relationship.
I'm sure it's
or
hard,
have,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. What did you think about Marie, though? Because she's not completely right.
Yeah, no, I mean, there are times when I don't know if I would say she's wrong. I do think that she's so hurt that even when you think that they've reached a point where they can recover from it, and even Malcolm is wanting the fight to be over and is doing what he can, she just can't let it go. And she just keeps getting angry. And you do discover that she wasn't always perfect in the relationship, especially when she was recovering from being a drug addict. And Malcolm kind of holds that against her.
Yeah.
But even then, I still like seeing the fight. It's just like, I cannot imagine if you spoke to me the way that he spoke to her.
Yeah. Yeah, he kind of holds it over her head that he saved her life.
That he was there.
Yeah.
When she was drugged up, when she went to rehab, when she relapsed, he was there.
Yeah. Love doesn't have to be conditional or...
Like, why are you keeping
indebted.
Score?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't have to owe someone to love them. That was kind of awful, too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so weird. There's all these things that we're talking about that they're having this terrible argument and it just descends and descends. But then the fight kind of recovers, and then they start to make commentary when it flips to the other side. Like, for example, they're a little bit happier, and Malcolm is talking about a review that he got.
Right.
Which is just a commentary about how people can put their own politics in their reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, the movie's about a woman that's struggling with drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And rehab. And so the reviewer happens to be white, and I guess Malcolm and Marie are black, but Malcolm is saying, like, can you believe that this white critic is making a commentary on how healthcare failed black Americans?
Mm-hmm.
When he didn't think about that. He just wanted to make a movie about a woman that struggles with the drugs.
And that she happens to be black.
Exactly, yeah.
And he did say, he was like, does that affect her life experiences? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm not making a commentary about race.
Yeah. And so I thought that was interesting. It was also interesting that Marie, she was an actress, and she wanted to be the actress for this movie that Malcolm directed because it's basically based off of her. And Marie's making the argument that she would be the best actress for the movie in the whole world because she lived through that. She is authentic. And Malcolm, he's just a guy with two great parents, doesn't know suffering, doesn't know what the real world is. He just lives in his own bubble.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting because probably a lot of directors, a lot of actors are in that bubble, you know.
Right.
I mean, the son of Denzel Washington, I mean,
right.
he was definitely well off, you know.
Yeah.
And we had the ability to study acting and all that.
Right.
So
I think Zendaya did too, actually.
Yeah, she did. She was an actress since she was a kid.
Right. But going back to your point about, like, there was this kind of bonding moment between them when the review came out. And I think it's because they sort of viewed the critic, like, when they had a common enemy, they were able to bond over the common enemy.
For a little bit. And then Marie finds a common...
Yeah, she kind of justified the critic a little bit. Because both of them are very clearly very intelligent, it's a cool movie because it goes beyond just their argument. They do have very cool discussions. So like what Marcos was saying about in the review of him being offended that she felt like it was a statement on how blacks are ignored by the healthcare system, and they have a whole conversation about it. And they that theme is also, you know, comes in and out of the movie as well. So I thought, like Marco said at the very beginning, it's a very thought-provoking movie, more than just looking at the relationship, but also looking at what does it mean to make art? What does it mean to be an artist? What does it mean to be authentic?
Yeah.
How do you do that? And what are even some ways that maybe we sell ourselves or sell our image of ourselves to society?
What were you thinking about when they were talking about Hollywood and how Hollywood is so capitalistic, I guess, and so fake, I guess? Do you know what they were trying to say?
Well, I think like I don't really know. Other than, I guess, it's kind of, I would like a country club or like a sorority or fraternity. You know, there are all these unspoken rules, all of these connections you need to make.
Yeah, they were saying that Hollywood is the biggest corporation on the earth because there's so much money to be made and all that.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the movie overall, like rating-wise?
I thought it was a great movie. It had deep characters. It had a very interesting story. I loved the style. And it was refreshing to watch something that was just completely different. So I would give it a 95, I guess.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I would give this movie a C-.
What?
I think that they should have just gotten therapy.
Babe, no, you can't like... It's an exhausting movie and they speak horribly and this is not a functional relationship.
Absolutely. It almost seemed like they were shocked that they were getting this low. And I feel like if this was a real relationship, this would have been gradually building up.
It was gradually building up.
But like they would have known about it. Like they would be having problems in the relationship.
I think it was pretty, I can see that happening. I think it was pretty realistic. But I think you need to grade the movie, not the relationship.
It's about the relationship.
Yeah, but
right?
what about like the cool camera angles and the writing and the acting? Zendaya and John David Washington, he was so good.
Yeah, I didn't like Zendaya's acting that much.
Oh, there were, I think at the beginning maybe. There's like a rough patch, but then I thought it was amazing. I thought she did really well.
She got a lot better for sure. I don't know. I can't see myself watching this movie again. I felt frustrated watching the movie, and I know you're supposed to feel frustrated, but that's not a feeling I guess I like to feel.
Wow, I thought you liked it more. I'm surprised.
That's kind of cool that you're surprised.
I know. The part of Zendaya's acting I'm remembering now, it was really weird at the beginning of the movie. She kept like looking down her eyes, like down her nose.
She made it painfully obvious that she was annoyed, I think.
Yeah, it was just like too much. And she does that a lot playing MJ in The Amazing Spider-Man. It looks like her eyes are like 3/4 of the way closed. Mm-hmm. It honestly looks like she's high.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
That's funny. But
that's the only part that was annoying to me.
I can see that, yeah. Okay, so you gave it a 95. So that means that you would recommend this movie to everyone. No.
So I would recommend it to everyone except those who have been in an abusive relationship and it could like really hurt them.
That means that you would rewatch this movie multiple times.
No, that does not mean no.
Okay.
What it means is I think it was an excellently executed movie.
Okay.
Will I watch it again? Probably not. Would I watch snippets like to remember parts of the conversation that I thought were interesting? Probably.
I also don't understand why the movie was black and white.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they were trying too hard to be cool, but...
And the music, I felt like...
Oh, sometimes the music was random.
Yeah, I didn't understand why the music was being used.
But we actually forgot to mention that throughout the movie, they actually used the music, like Malcolm uses the music to communicate to Murray. Communicate how he's feeling.
Yeah, and then Marie doesn't like it.
She doesn't like it, but she does it at the end. And then he also didn't like it. So yeah, actually I thought that part of the music was cool, but sometimes it was weird. Like the end credit song was weird, I think.
Yeah, I guess it didn't feel like it fit.
I don't remember, but I did think it was cool that they communicated with music.
I mean, yeah, it was cool, but I didn't see like a purpose, I guess. I actually couldn't even tell the time period because it was black and white. And I thought they were trying to make it like old school. And
no, because he had a phone.
That's what made me realize it's not old school.
Oh, right.
It's not from the 50s, I guess.
I mean, I could tell by her dress.
Okay. See, I don't look at that stuff. He was wearing a tux, you know.
Yeah.
Those are pretty traditional. I don't know why. I leaned between a B and a C. Mm-hmm. Probably a C+. I think the reasons are just I review movies based off of like what I like about them. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is like, would I rewatch this again? Mm-hmm. Would I recommend this to a lot of people? Is it fun to watch? For me personally, I can recognize that it's a really good movie that has like a lot of commentary and it does a lot with its runtime, but not for me.
I mean, I guess the difference is I think you're looking at it as like a piece of entertainment, right? How entertaining was it?
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of looking at it
As a piece of
as
art.
a piece of art. Yeah.
No, that totally makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I can
Which
see.
is actually, it sounds like an argument they would have too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They gotta get into that
Mhm.
topic of he doesn't want to make political movies, but he loves political movies.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to do this, but he's kind of a hypocrite about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I could really ramble on about what I don't like about Malcolm.
He is really self-absorbed.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I think that goes along with being in the Hollywood world too. I think I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them are self-absorbed, and also even just like artists themselves,
Yeah.
geniuses in art, or thinking of movies like Whiplash too. You know, they get consumed by it.
Yeah, there is something about that strive for perfection and
Yeah.
recognition that
It's almost a
ruins
caricature.
people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely consumes people.
Mm-hmm.
Which I actually like seeing when the pursuit of perfection ruins people's lives. You know, like in the Queen's Gambit or Whiplash, like you were
Right.
saying. But this one is not about that. I mean, not strictly about it. But yeah, I feel like we could talk a lot more about the movie, but
Yeah.
just in general, I think you need to see the movie to get like the thought-provoking elements of it. I do recommend it if you want an interesting movie that makes you think about relationships. Yeah, I think it was interesting to watch it with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I recommend it for couples. I don't
Yeah.
recommend it for couples that fight a lot.
Mm-mm.
But if you don't fight a lot, you should watch this to see how a couple fights a lot. But yes, any final thoughts?
I would just remind people to, attempt to have open communication so that you don't become like Malcolm and Marie with all of these resentments toward each other.
They should have just seen a therapist and this movie wouldn't exist.
Right.
Which is not the point, obviously. But that was our review of Malcolm and Marie. Let us know what you think. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, and Google Podcasts. So let us know what you think. Appreciate it, guys.
Have a great week.